Hello, everyone. My name is Rudy Sanchez, and I'm a financial aid specialist with the Mount SAC Financial Aid Office. Today, we are going to work on completing the California DREAM Act application, CADAA for short. Financial aid offices at each school will use results from the California DREAM Act application to determine what types of financial aid a student is eligible to receive. By participating in this presentation, our goal is that you will have a better understanding of the California DREAM Act application process. Here's an overview of today's agenda. We will first review how to create your California DREAM Act application user ID. The user ID you create will be a unique ID and password which you will use every year to complete the California DREAM Act application. Afterwards, we will cover some information about how to prepare to complete the DREAM Act application, what documents and information you will need to have available. Next, we will work through a California DREAM Act application together. Screenshots of the online California DREAM Act application have been taken, allowing us to gain a better understanding of the online user experience. Finally, we will conclude our time together with an overview of what to expect after you have submitted the California DREAM Act application. Let's begin with an overview of creating the California DREAM Act application user ID. Students seeking to complete the California DREAM Act application will need to first go to the California DREAM Act application webpage, dream.csac.ca.gov. Once on this webpage, you will need to scroll down slightly until you can view the following three boxes, each with a corresponding green button. Students who are new to this application and who need to create a user ID will want to select the green button furthest to the left, containing the word Start. Once you select the Start button, you are taken to this screen, which contains a welcome message and some basic information about the California DREAM Act application. Select Continue once you are ready to proceed. The first question presented asks whether you have a Social Security number. You will need to select yes or no based on your situation. If you select yes, you are then presented with a question asking if you obtained a Social Security number after being granted a deferred action status and whether you received the Social Security number through an employment authorization card, and your card states it is for work purposes only. Answer yes or no to this question in order to move forward. We just looked at information for students who respond yes to the question of having a Social Security number. Let's now review what questions are presented for students who respond no to this question. Students who respond that they do not have a Social Security number are then presented with a question about if they meet AB 540 criteria. AB 540 is a California Assembly bill allowing access to in-state tuition rates for undocumented and other qualifying students at California's public universities and colleges. The criteria to qualify for in-state tuition through AB 540 is outlined in this section. Make sure to carefully review all of the criteria outlined on this page. You must meet the requirements described in this section in order to proceed with the California DREAM Act application. If you do meet this AB 540 criteria, then select yes and continue to the next section. The next screen will state that you are eligible to file the California DREAM Act application. Select Start Application to continue. You are now ready to create your user ID. You will need to input your personal information such as your name, date of birth, and mailing address. When inputting information about your name and date of birth, make sure to report information as it appears on official records, such as a birth certificate, Social Security card if applicable, or other government records. Regarding the mailing address, some students will receive DREAM Act communications and updates through the mail, so it is important to include an address that is accessible to you. Next, you will need to input your contact information, such as a phone number and email address. Afterwards, you will set up your user ID and password. Afterwards, you will need to set up 3 security questions, which will be used in the event you ever forget your login information. Select Continue once you are finished. A message will appear stating that your account was created successfully. Select OK to finish. Great. You have now created a California DREAM Act application user ID. Once you have the user ID created, you are ready to begin the California DREAM Act application. However, before we get started, it's important to gather all required documents, as we may need to reference different types of documents in order to answer each DREAM Act application question. Here is an overview of some of the required documents you should have readily available in order to complete the 2021-2022 online California DREAM Act application. Social Security card, or ITIN, which is an individual taxpayer identification number. Driver's license, 2019 income tax returns, 2019 W-2, and other records of income earned from work. Bank statements and records of investments and records of 2019 untaxed income, for example, child support received, untaxed IRA distributions, and pension or annuity payments. If some of the documents covered don't apply to you, that's okay. Gather what is applicable to your situation. Okay, we are now ready to begin working on the California DREAM Act application. Before we look at the online DREAM Act application, we would like to review a few disclaimers. Here are some things to consider. The student and parent data we will be using is completely fictitious. We will not be using anybody's actual personal information. Also, every applicant's family and financial situation is different. This means that some of the questions and responses reviewed during this simulation may look different than your experience. We will try to offer general guidance regarding different scenarios, but please keep in mind that we might not cover a scenario that is applicable to your situation. Something else to consider is that we will be reviewing the online California DREAM Act application. There are, however, other alternative formats, such as a paper DREAM Act application, which is available as a PDF file. Please choose the format that will best suit your needs. Also keep in mind that there are 2 application years currently available, the 2020-2021 application and the 2021-2022 application. Make sure to complete the application year based on when you are going to enroll in college courses. Finally, help is available. If you have any questions or concerns with this application, you can contact the California Student Aid Commission, or CSAC, which is the state organization which manages the DREAM Act application. You can also contact the Mount SAC Financial Aid Office for assistance, and we'd be happy to help you. Okay, let's get started. Once you have created the user ID, you will be taken to the following login page. On this page, you will have the option to complete a specific California DREAM Act application year. For our purposes, we will work on the 2021-2022 application year, which is the application year for the 2021-2022 school year, which begins fall 2021. The next screen will provide general instructions and explanations about the application. Select Next once you are ready to continue. The next screen will ask you to input your name, mailing address, social security number, or ITIN, if applicable, along with your date of birth. If you have both a social security number and ITIN, enter only your social security number. If you have neither of those, then leave this field blank. You will then have to input your phone number, statewide student identification number, which is a 10-digit ID provided by public California high schools. If you don't have a statewide student identification number, you may leave this blank. Also enter your driver's license information if you have one, and provide your email address information. Afterwards, you will need to input your citizenship status and your marital status as of the date you are completing the application. Once you have inputted all this information, you will have the opportunity to input your state of legal residence. As you are working on this application, it is important to keep in mind the built-in help features available on the DREAM Act application. For example, you will notice that when selecting the drop-down for citizenship status, there appears a help and hints box on the right-hand side of the screen. Make sure to review these help and hints boxes to assist you with better understanding how to answer each question. You are now presented with a question of whether you are male or female. This question is used to determine whether you are required to have registered for selective service. Selective service is a system used by the United States to draft individuals into the armed forces in the event of a national emergency. Current federal law requires all persons who were assigned the sex of male at birth to register for selective service if they are between the age of 18 through 25. If you were assigned the sex of male at birth and are between the ages of 18 to 25, you will need to register for selective service. Please keep in mind that registering for selective service is not the same as joining the military. Additionally, persons who are required to have registered for selective service and who choose not to register will not be eligible for some types of state financial aid programs. Further information about selective service and the requirements to register is also available through the Help and Hints box, which appears on the right side of the screen. The next set of questions will ask you to provide the education completion level for each parent, parent 1 and parent 2. If you happen to not know the education completion level of your parent or parents, you may select Other Unknown. The next question will ask the student to report various educational statuses as of the 2021-2022 school year. Remember that these questions are asking you about the information that will be true as of the 2021-2022 school year, which does begin fall 2021. For example, you are asked to report your high school completion status as of the 2021-2022 school year. If you are graduating high school spring of 2021, then you would report high school diploma for this question. Next, you are asked whether you will have earned a bachelor's degree by the start of the 2021-2022 school year. Answer yes or no, and then proceed to the next questions, which ask about your college grade level and the types of degree or certificate programs you are pursuing during the 2021-2022 school year. At this point, you will enter a section of the California DREAM Act application, which will ask various questions about student financial information. Remember to use the Help and Hints box if you need assistance with navigating your tax forms. First, you will need to report whether you completed taxes for the 2019 tax year. Students who did file taxes will need to report their tax filing status, adjusted gross income, income taxes paid, and other tax-related questions. Students who did not file taxes and were not required to file taxes will need to report how much they earned from working in 2019, if applicable. If a student did not earn any money during 2019 and is not required to file taxes, they can simply report will not file and report $0 as their income earned from work. After completing the student tax information section, you will then have to report any earnings from working in 2019 and will also have to report the value of any assets. Assets include the balance of cash and savings and checking accounts, and will also include the net worth of any investments and business and/or investment farms. For specific detail about asset information, make sure to review the Help and Hints box when approaching this question. Also, pay close attention to the asset question. You will notice that the questions ask about the value of assets as of today, meaning the day that you are completing the DREAM Act application. Additional student financial questions are then asked. Read through each financial item and report information as needed. Some items will be reported through the tax form, for example, education credits and taxable earnings from need-based employment programs, whereas other items are not reported on tax forms, such as child support paid. If a financial item doesn't apply to your situation, then simply report $0. Additional financial items appear, such as combat pay and earnings from a cooperative education program. Report each item as applicable before moving into the student untaxed income section. The next section will also ask the student to report any sources of untaxed income from 2019. Once again, read through each item carefully and review documents and forms as applicable. If some or all of the untaxed income items do not apply to your situation, then you can report $0 for each field. After reviewing each student untaxed income question, you will then need to report whether you, a spouse, or anyone in the household received benefits from the programs listed on the application. Look at each benefit program listed and select the checkbox if any of the programs were received during the 2019 or 2020 year. If no benefit program was received, then you may select none of the above. Next, you will need to report whether you as the student or your spouse are considered a dislocated worker. If you have questions about this definition, do make sure to view the Help and Hints box. Students will then have the opportunity to include up to 10 schools or colleges on their California DREAM Act application. You will need to include each college's school code. If you do not know the school code, you may use the search function in order to find the specific college's school code. Once you have the school code, you will enter it into the Add College School Code field and select the plus sign. As shown in our example, Mount SAC's school code is 00124500 on the California DREAM Act application. Once the school is added, you will also have to select a housing plan. The housing plan options are as follows: on campus, with parent, and off campus. Choose the housing situation that you think will most likely occur for your situation. Once you have made your selection, you will select Next. Okay, we are now in the dependency status section of the California DREAM Act application. This section will ask very specific questions in order to determine whether a student will need to include parent information on the application. Students who are required to provide parent information are considered dependent students for financial aid purposes, whereas students who are considered independent students are not required to provide parent information. Carefully review each question and answer yes or no based on your situation. After you answer all of the dependency status questions, you will then have to answer a question about foster care placement. Answer yes or no based on your situation and then select Next to continue. Okay, at this stage of the application, students who were determined to have been dependent based on their responses on the California DREAM Act application will need to report parent information. Dependent students who cannot provide information about their parent or parents due to a special circumstance are still able to submit their California DREAM Act application without parent information. However, they will have to work with the financial aid office at their school in order to review their financial aid eligibility and next steps. The first question of this parent section will ask, what is your parent's marital status as of today, which is the date that you are completing the DREAM Act application. The next question will ask you to report a date that your parents were married, remarried, separated, divorced, or widowed if applicable. Next, you will report information about your first parent. If you stated that your parents are married, remarried, or unmarried and living together, you will need to report information for both parents. There will be information for parent 1 and then information for parent 2. If you reported that your parents were never married, are separated, divorced, or widowed, you will only have to report information for one parent. Therefore, there will only be information for parent 1 that you have to report. You will need to report the following parent information in this particular section: Social Security number or individual tax identification number, or ITIN. If your parent or parents do not have a Social Security number or ITIN, then simply report all zeros. If your parents have both a Social Security number and ITIN, you should just enter the Social Security number. You also will need to enter a last name, the first letter of the parent's first name, and the parent's date of birth. You will then have to enter information for your second parent or parent 2, if applicable. Okay. The next pieces of information you will need to report is as follows: parent email address and the state where your parent or parents reside. You will also have to answer yes or no to whether your parents have resided in their state before a specific date, January 1st, 2016. This next section of the online California DREAM Act application will ask about household size. For dependent students, the household size is based upon the parent's household size, whereas the household size for independent students is based strictly on the student and whether they are financially supporting other persons. Make sure to carefully review this question and include all persons in the household who meet the criteria outlined in this section. After reporting the household size, you are to report the amount of persons, excluding parents, that will be enrolled in college between specific dates and who are enrolled at least half-time in a degree or certificate program. After reporting the household size and number in college, you will have to report whether anyone in the parent's household received benefits from the government programs listed on the application. Select each benefit as applicable or select none of the above if that applies to your situation. Next, you will need to report whether your parents filed taxes for the 2019 tax year. If your parents did file taxes in 2019, you will need to answer additional questions, such as the type of tax return they filed, their tax filing status, and whether they filed Schedule 1. Make sure to use the Help and Hints feature for guidance if you need assistance answering these questions. You will also want to refer to your parents' tax forms in order to answer each question accurately. If your parents did not file and were not required to file taxes, you can report will not file. at which point you will answer whether they earned any income from working in 2019. If they did earn income, you will need to report the amount. If they did not work at all in 2019, you may report $0 as their income earned from working. For students whose parents filed taxes, you will have to answer additional tax questions, such as the parent's adjusted gross income, income taxes paid in 2019. Once again, look through the Help and Hints feature and also refer to the actual tax forms in order to accurately answer each question. Of course, if you need assistance, feel free to contact the Mount SAC Financial Aid Office. You will also have to answer a question about whether your parent or parents are a dislocated worker. Respond yes or no based on your situation. The next questions will basically ask how much your parent or parents earned from working in 2019. If you have two parents on the application and if they were both working in 2019, make sure to look at how much money each of them made working. Usually you will refer to W-2 records and or IRS Schedule C information. The next set of questions will ask for parent asset information. These questions are identical to the student asset questions we reviewed earlier. However, this time you are entering the asset information for the parent or parents on your California DREAM Act application. Make sure to report the value of assets as of the date that you are completing the application. Notice that each question starts off with the words "as of today." You will report the balance of cash, savings, and checking accounts in your parents' control, along with the net worth of any investments, which include real estate that is not the primary home in which your parents live, and the net worth of family-owned businesses and or investment farms. Great. The next set of parent financial questions will ask about various financial items. Read through each item and consult appropriate documentation as recommended in each question. If an item doesn't apply to your parents, then you may report $0. You are then presented with questions which ask about various sources of parent untaxed income. Once again, read through each question, consulting relevant documents as recommended in each question. If your parent hasn't received some or all of the types of untaxed income contained in each question, then simply report $0. Wonderful. You are now nearing completion of the California DREAM Act application. Before providing a signature, you will want to make sure and read the information and disclosures now shown on the application. Once you have read and understood the disclosures, you can proceed with signing the application. In order to provide your signature as a student, you will select the checkbox and then select Save, followed by Submit. Once this is done, a separate confirmation tab will become available notifying you that you have completed the application. Please note, and this is important, if you were a dependent student, meaning that you were required to report parent information on your application, the confirmation tab will contain a link, and that will provide your parent the opportunity to give their signature. A dependent student's DREAM Act application is incomplete if it is missing the parent signature. Make sure your parent uses the link in order to provide their signature. Another alternative to providing the parent's signature is by accessing the main California DREAM Act webpage at dream.csac.ca.gov. Have your parent select the green parent signature button, at which point they will follow the steps needed to sign your application. If a parent is unable to electronically sign the application, they will have the option to print a signature page that will need to get mailed out. Well, congratulations, you've finished the California DREAM Act application. Let's now discuss what you can expect after you complete and submit this financial aid application. The Mount SAC Financial Aid Office will receive your California DREAM Act application within 5 to 7 business days from the date that you submitted your application, as long as the Mount SAC's school code of 00124500 was included on the application. We encourage you to also review your California Student Aid Report, which will help provide a summary of your potential financial aid eligibility, and will also summarize all of your DREAM Act application responses. Look through this report to verify that the information you reported on the application is all accurate. Once Mount SAC receives your application, we will communicate financial aid status and eligibility information through your Mount SAC student portal. Make sure to periodically log into your portal and view the information available in the financial aid section of your portal. Through your portal, you can view what financial aid requirements are needed from you, if applicable, and you will also have access to your financial aid offer. Of course, we encourage you to contact us if you have any questions or concerns about your financial aid status and/or eligibility. Here is an example of how you can use your Mount SAC financial aid offer to develop a financial plan. Once you review your financial aid offer, you can calculate the total amount of financial aid you are receiving compared to the total amount of expenses or costs that you will need to pay. Notice how in this example, the student is receiving $6,760 of free financial aid money. This amount is much greater than the total costs which the student plans to pay. In this example, the student would receive a refund and can then use those funds to pay toward textbooks, transportation costs like gas, and even living expenses. Well, that concludes our time together during this Completing the California Dream Act application presentation. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions or wish us to clarify anything that was covered or may not have been covered during this presentation. We are here to support your success as a Mount SAC student. You can call us at 909-274-4450, reach us by email at financialaid@mountsac.edu. We also have great information and resources available through our website, mountsac.edu/financial aid, and our Instagram page at @MountSac_FA. Thank you, and we wish you ongoing success.